These are the 7 levels of aesthetics. In this video, we are going to reveal what each level looks like and what your life will look like at each level.
So this is level 1, the turning point, the very start of your fitness journey.
You know, I laugh, but this is kind of what I look like at the start.
So usually you hit rock bottom, whether it's a breakup, an insecurity, some sort of health scare, or you're simply just disgusted with how you look. Personally, that was my reason. I also went through a breakup and I just looked in the mirror and thought, what am I? I'm a shell of what I was. I was always fairly lean growing up, and then, you know, I pinched here and there was far too much fat there. So that was honestly the turning point for me.
Yeah, and it's almost like there's a switch in your brain. Like you just wake up to the fact that you look like shit. It's very easy to just coast through life living in ignorance. You don't really pick up on how you look because you're just going through your life doing your day-to-day activities. And you also start realizing that looks do change how people treat you in the real world.
And it's funny because although it's only level 1, I'd say you're still ahead of 80% of people here. Because 80% of people never wake up to themselves. They just live in ignorance because ignorance is bliss. But once you've come to this realization, you don't know what you're doing, but you show up anyway. You think, I need to make a change. I don't know what the changes I actually need to make in my life are, but I know the basics. I'll fix my diet and I'll go to the gym.
And this is where you start watching like self-improvement YouTubers or self-improvement content, and you really have to make that identity shift. This is the most pivotal part of the journey. Maybe you started watching our YouTube channel and you've realized, dang, this really does have a massive impact on my life. And it's almost the best thing you could ever discover because it's hope. Realistically, it's hope. It's a light at the end of the tunnel saying, I am proactively in charge of my life. I can change the way that my life looks like.
And although I'd say you're ahead of like 80% of people, this is still where most people will quit because results take longer than motivation lasts, right? People can't see the long road ahead of them, or they can, and it just seems daunting, and they usually give up. They never even really make it to level 2, 3, or 4, or beyond. You know, this is honestly where I have to put the most attention towards clients. It's getting the habits formed and getting them to stay in the gym and stay consistent, because it never gets harder from the start. At the start is the hardest point of your fitness journey. Everything feels like a drag. It's not fun. You don't really get too much pumps in the gym. You don't know the form. You don't know what a healthy diet is, and it's very confusing and very daunting.
Yeah, but if you stay consistent, that's where you reach level 2, where things get infinitely easier. Because I always say, your first win is all you need, and then you become self-motivated. You become motivated by the progress itself.
So level 2 is the novice gains category. This is after a few months consistently in the gym, and you're starting to notice a few results. Strength goes up weekly. Every workout feels like progress because it will be at the start. Everything's skyrocketing, you're getting newbie gains, and it's literally every session you'll be progressively overloading. You'll be lifting more weight or doing more reps. Clothes start to slightly fit better, your posture changes, and people actually start noticing, you know. They're walking past you and going, oh, look at you, mate, you know. There's actual visual differences in how you look.
This is where you also start watching content based around fitness, you know, whether you watch our YouTube channel or you watch stuff on TikTok or Instagram, and you start tracking your protein, you start learning how to get better sleep, how to get better form on your lifts, and the basics start to click. You start learning how to track everything in your life. You start knowing protein goals, macro ratios, electrolytes, things of that nature.
And improving your body starts to improve other areas of your life as well. Girls could even start noticing at this point, or subconsciously, you're just moving up the ranks in terms of attractiveness. You'll almost be distancing yourself from older friends at this stage. You know, they're asking you to come out to go drink, you're going to the gym. It just doesn't align. But past this point, the high of seeing fast progress will start fading. Because you get that instant spike in progress, things start slowing down, and this is where real discipline forms, and you need to kind of tap into that rather than just relying on your motivation from how exciting everything is.
This is also where you become much rarer of an individual. Like 99% of people quit on level 1, and then an extra 0.5% quit in level 2. So there's not really many people left at this stage, like, let's be honest.
That's when you move on to level 3, which is the intermediate. This is like a year or 2 in the gym. At this point, training becomes second nature. Gym time is scheduled. It's not really a debate whether you're going or not. It's just part of your everyday routine. Everyone else knows that's part of your routine, although your mum will still ask you where you're going every time you step out the door. I feel like this is just a universal experience. You understand recovery, progressive overload, deloads, fatigue. You're probably learning more advanced things in the gym. And past this point, you've probably gone through like a bulk or a cut as well, and even seen some facial aesthetics improve. Most guys usually started like pretty high body fat percentage, or they just started overweight and they went on a weight loss journey. And this is where you will start getting facial gains, because you've probably cut down to a pretty lean body fat at this point, or you're on your way to actually going through a cut.
And you'll notice as well, going to gym puts you in a way better hormonal environment, which if you started really early on in your teens, your face actually develops a lot better. I know there's literature out there to actually support the evidence that it does improve your facial aesthetics and your actual bone development in your face. I just do notice this, like guys that go to gym, even for myself, a couple years into gym, my face looked completely different. So let us know if like the same thing happened to you.
Most guys will simply never make it past this level. Like, I mean, all you gotta do is just think about your town's population, and then just think about the amount of people you see in the gym. It's such a small section of that population. I don't think people can really grasp how rare it is to consistently rock up to the gym and have it as second nature, rather than, you know, there's a lot of people that just go through like these health phases or challenges, or they see some diet on TikTok. Like, you're actually a gym guy at this point. That is very rare, and this is the highest ROI thing you would have ever done in your life, because you've just built the habit that will reap you so many rewards in the future.
This is probably the biggest butterfly effect ever you could ever do, right? This is the foundation for self-improvement. Realistically, this is pretty much where everyone starts.
This is where potentially the black pill mindset can start to creep in, though, because you've been going for a few years at this point. You will start to notice limitations or things that could be holding you back. You know, maybe some genetic flaws. You might think it's maybe way harder for you to gain or lose weight. You think you have a super slow metabolism or a high metabolism, and you start having some limiting beliefs. But trust me, in reality, your ceiling is way higher. You're just not patient enough. The reality is 2 to 3 years in the gym is nothing. You're a baby in the gym, man. Especially naturally, building a well-rounded physique, it's in decades. It really is. It takes 10 years naturally to build a really solid physique that's evened out, where you've had time to actually process your weak points, your strong points, even things out, change up training, change up the diet to really just level out your physique in all areas. At this point, your friend group's probably completely changed, or you're still hanging on to it, you know, a few loose ends here and there, but you've probably got a more masculine friend group full of guys that, you know, you're going to the gym with. You've met some guys at the gym. Maybe even you've started posting content and you've built a little bit of an audience at this point.
And I'd say this is also where you gain true confidence. Because you are competent in the gym, I always say confidence comes from competence. And because you are such a competent individual now, this is where you gain true confidence in public, I'd say. And not only do you have the mental effects of going to the gym and staying disciplined and staying consistent, but you're realistically a top 1% guy in terms of looks at this point. You can take your shirt off at the beach and you just know you look great, realistically.
That leads us to level 4, which is fine tuning and aesthetics. And I'd say this is where a lot of the guys are at that joined the Skool group. This is probably the most common level. It's the transition phase from level 3 to level 4, because guys have built up habits that they've been going to the gym. They understand they need to rock up, but maybe they're just looking to take things to that next level. They're looking for a gap in information. They're looking for extra knowledge on how to improve, you know. They're looking for outside opinions on where they're at, how they can fine tune things around their diet, around their nutrition, their training, supplementation. And this is where they're looking to not only just go to the gym and build muscle, but fine tune their aesthetics. This is where you start to care about every detail. You've probably looked at yourself in the mirror tens of thousands of times by now. You're hypercritical. You know exactly where you need to bring up, what phase you need to get into. You start dialing in your macros, your micronutrients, your sleep. You start trying to optimize things even completely unrelated to the gym, like your schedule, your productivity, how you can work your day around the gym. You realize that aesthetics are strategic. They open doors socially, romantically, and professionally. And this is even when you start to learn how to present your results. This is something we're huge on, even in the Skool group. There's no point building a physique if you don't know how to take photos and show it off. You know, lighting, content even, photos. And this is where you get a massive physique halo effect.
Yeah, I'd say this is when you really get the best real world results from your physique. Like we said, this is what we always talk about in the Skool, and it's where guys really start to reap the rewards of all the effort they started to put in the gym. You know, this is when they can come to us and we can just tell them the gaps. We can fill in the knowledge that they don't already know and help them get to that next level. And this is where I believe it truly pays off. And that's why I always say to guys, just stick it through. Just stick it out, man, because I can tell you, it might not feel like it's worth it at the start, but this is when things start to get really good, I believe.
Next, we have level 5, which is the decision point. This is where where you're pretty advanced in the gym now, you've been going naturally, and gym progression, although not exactly, if you've got everything right, it's a very logarithmic graph. Most of the results, 90% of the results, are in the first 3 to 5 years. After that, things really start to flatten out, things become really slow, and I believe this is the point where you really start to sit back and think, do I want gym to be just a casual addition to my life, or do I want to take this shit to the next level? And I'm pretty sure you guys can assume what I mean by taking shit to the next level. You probably have conversations with it about your gym bros every day. Do you want to start taking compounds, prescription medications, and other anabolic androgenic steroids to take your physique past that point? Because although the ceiling is a lot higher than you think naturally, the ceiling is quite low compared to what can be achieved if you step over that other side.
We're not even just talking anabolics, we're talking things like peptides, mitochondrial support, and really making gym like your entire life realistically, right? That's the decision you have to come to. Do you want to cruise through it, maintain your awesome physique, maybe make some micro improvements, get into that decade, 2 decades of training, and just build an awesome natural physique that looks great? Or do you really want to build a brand upon your physique? Do you want to just stand out?
Because I think that's who it's for. It's for guys who want to stand out. It's for guys who know this is a lifelong thing. They love this game. Guys that just want to stay fit, healthy, look good, have it as a nice addition to their life. I don't think this is much of a question. I think being natural is just fine. The drawbacks of delving over to the other side, simply just not worth it. And I completely get it. That does make sense. But if you want to stand out, if you want to build a brand, if this truly is your life, I think people dance around it too much. I think it's very clear. If this shit is your life, it is so worth it to push it to that next level, because you've probably noticed every influencer online, even the guys who tell you not to go enhanced, are enhanced. It's all of them. It's literally all of them, basically. There's a few natural guys and they have top 1% genetics most of the time. There really is no big natural influencers with average genetics. There's just not. It's just not a thing.
Yeah, just go look at like natural bodybuilding shows. That's as good as it gets. That is as good as it gets, literally. So you won't even achieve that most likely. So just know that that is your ceiling and be completely comfortable with that, or don't be completely comfortable with that and take it to the next level.
And we're not saying you can't build a great physique naturally. You can build a really good physique, but I'm talking like actually making an income from it, building a brand upon it. Although yes, you could argue someone like Joe Fazer, pretty shitty genetics, he's a natural, but his brand is based upon that fact. Like a skinny kid bulking up. So, I mean, yes, obviously you can do it naturally. You can build a pretty big brand naturally, and there's plenty of guys that have done it. But even in terms of mentally, what will happen, you kind of just at a deficit.
And so the last thing I'll say on that is that PEDs are not magic, right? It really is a risk and reward thing. Are you willing to make the sacrifices? Are you willing to give up a lot of things to take your physique and your lifestyle to that next level?
Because the reality is there's tons of drawbacks, right? It's not like an all positives thing. So this is the point where you ask yourself, what is your goal? What is your goal? Because for most people, the return on investment is probably not there, to be honest. But if your goal is to push this shit to the next level, you will know. You'll be certain in your decision if you truly know that's where you want to go. Which leads us to level 6. Leveraging your physique. You realize your body is social proof. It gets people to listen. You can sit there and try to teach people things. If you don't look the part, they're gonna have wool over their ears, wool over their eyes, and they're not gonna listen to what you're saying.
And this is the biggest testament to what we always talk about. You will get treated identical to how you look, whether that's physique, facially, height, everything, right? It all plays a massive role. And you will know this if you look on YouTube or Instagram. Guys can make the exact same content, but look like shit, and they will get no views, no following, no one will listen. That is the reality of the world.
This is where you can build an audience, a community, and an income around your lifestyle. You can leverage your physique to build a brand, get deals, do coaching, sell products. The gym isn't the end goal anymore. It's the foundation for bigger things. This can be your career now. This can be your life. How you look is how you make your income. It's a crazy world we live in where that's possible. And me and Nelson did it within a year. I mean, obviously we were learning skills in the back end and we were failing other endeavors before that. But from this YouTube channel, we went from the creation of the channel to living off our physique and what we can teach online within a year.
And that moves us on to the final level, which is level 7, the top 0.1%. I'd argue it's even less than this realistically.
Well, this isn't the top 0.1% of the population. This is the top 0.1% of the people who consistently go to the gym. I'd argue it's 1 in every 1,000 people who consistently train. You've mastered fitness, money, your mindset, your social skills. You operate completely differently. And if people used to know you, they will barely recognize you. They'll be literally like jaw on the floor, like who is this man, right? Because you've done so much self-work. You're basically a different person at this point. You control your time, your brand, your relationships, your environment is a product of who you are now. You've gone from just an average consumer, I just like to call them useless eaters, to a creator, a leader, someone that people look up to. You're mentoring other people, you're scaling your own systems, you build businesses based off your reputation. You are the fucking man.
Yeah, I believe this is like the final goal. I think the gym is the easiest way to create an epic life for yourself. It is the biggest lever you can pull in terms of ROI, 100%. And I believe most people, if you truly believe you're capable of it, should inspire to get to this level. And you are all capable of it. I truly believe you are all capable of it. I've had people in my own life that I've watched get to this point, and it is the most inspirational thing ever. You know, you truly can make a living doing this, and you can build any life you want to if you truly master the gym and building a good physique and discipline and self-improvement and self-mastery as a whole.
Yeah, if you cut out all the noise, you solely focus on that goal. You focus on the goal of becoming the man. Everything else is a distraction. You just do the shit that you need to do every day, without exception. That's your life now. You do the things. You wake up, you hit your goals for the day, you don't fuck up, you stay on those rails towards that goal. 5 years time, I believe 5 years is all it takes. It takes 5 years to go from blending in, you know, common population, to being a leader, to being someone people look up to being someone that people aspire to, people coming up to you for advice, and maybe even people might start describing you as intimidating at this point. It really does take 5 years. You just need to lock in. I mean, it sounds cliche, but just lock in, bro.
And if 5 years sounds daunting to you, you're probably a loser realistically. 5 years is nothing, and if you're not willing to sacrifice or involve yourself in a 5-year journey, I just don't believe you really want it that bad. If you are someone who truly wants to achieve greatness for yourself and self-mastery, that's why we built the Skool group, okay? Once again, you don't have to join, but if you are trying to achieve that goal, if you're trying to achieve self-mastery, we can help you get there 10 times quicker realistically. We've been through that path, we've done it before, and we can mentor you to get to that point. It's the easiest way to fast track results. We can talk to you personally in there. We hop on calls with everyone. We have over 100 exclusive videos, way more in depth than these YouTube videos, on exactly how to do it. From building the physique, how to leverage your physique in the real world for dating, business, how to scale a personal brand and make an income off it within a year. You know, it's all inside there, and it's less than an Uber Eats meal. Honestly, it's probably the best thing, the best project I've ever been involved with.
You can click that button there to join right now. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.
I'm just trying to tell you how I feel,